pertaining to the Girl Scout property and the potential for some additional housing there. And I just want to say I think that is fantastic. As was mentioned, we do have a housing issue, not just as a local community, as a nation. And this has been an issue that's been going on for a couple of decades and just continues to build and build. As I understand, the national stats are that we are about 6 million homes behind demand. And that's tough when we only build about 1.5 million a year for single-family residences. That's a pretty big gap to make up. And so I really look forward to seeing what the proposal is, what the details are as it pertains to the property known as the Girl Scout property. I think it's fantastic that the city is putting a lot of emphasis on how they can help provide affordable housing for the community. I know that there's been a lot of strides made in the last few years in adding to what is available, and we need housing at all price points. For those of you that don't know, I do have a real estate brokerage here in town. We get calls every week from people asking, do you know of anything at all, whether it be rental housing, lower priced single family homes, multifamily, whatever it may be. There is an intense demand that is just not letting up. And so I think it's fantastic that the city council is helping to lead that charge toward meeting what is a big issue for the community of Allegan as a whole, and really look forward to seeing what you guys do with it. So thank you.
I love the timers up there. I'll just start with that. So my name is Stephanie Calhoun. I'm the president and CEO of the Allegan County Community Foundation. I'm leading the group that the gentleman referenced that's addressing housing across the county. You may know that we commissioned a housing assessment for the full county last summer and got the results in the fall to build off Ben's comment, but narrow the scope. In Allegan County, we're down 6,200 units of housing in the next 5 years. That includes about 1,800 units of rental housing and over 4,000 units of single family or for sale housing. We'll say for sale housing. The one really, and I have these and I'll leave them with Parker. They're the executive summary and just kind of like a one-pager that kind of break down for you. The full 300-page report is on our website. So what I thought was really interesting, and I'm just here because I'm really interested in hearing about the development on the Girl Scout property, and really appreciate that the city seems to be really leaning into addressing the housing. It's not that way across the county, so thank you for that. So we have 6,200 units in 5 years that we need to build, right? We're probably not going to build 6,200 units. I'm forever like a rainbow and unicorn person, but I'm also becoming more of a realist. But 75% of those housing needs could be addressed by building, getting developers to come in and build the rental income for the lowest income earners in our community, which tend to be those that just need most support because of whatever life has dealt them, and building moderate to high income housing. So if you just address those two units for sale housing and that rental, it would cover 75% of the housing needs in our county. So this just seems to be a really great data point when we think about like what housing do we need to build, right? Like how do we grab those low-hanging fruits? How do we provide the quickest way possible quality housing? It's building single-family homes, for sale homes, and building low-income rental units. So I look forward to seeing where this property in particular goes, and if there's anything that our group can do to help, I would offer up their expertise. I'm not the expertise, I'm just the convener of the group. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Taylor Bentley, and I'm the Executive Director for the Allegan Area Chamber of Commerce. I get phone calls probably every week from people asking about housing, apartments, if there's a guide, if there's a directory, things like that, wanting information. Employers need employees, and employees need places to live, and they need places that they can afford to live in order for our community to thrive. So
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for their public comments. If nobody else wants to go. All right, then we'll move on to roundtable discussion amongst council members. Bill, do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, I was going to mention something about some of our areas within the city that need really hard looking at. And it has to do with our ordinance enforcement. It is terrible. There are cars all over this community that are just junk cars, as far as I'm concerned. They don't run. We need something to take place and take care of that. Right at the moment, we don't do anything. Here we're doing all this beautiful work, and then we allow that to happen right next door to us. We have to look into that. I think we need to do something about that.
Could I just respond to that, Peter? Bill, I know that this has been a major concern of yours, and I know that council shares some of those concerns. We've had Chief Gibson in to explain his process. I think in this case, if council is really concerned with enforcing these ordinances and blight, then we need to make sure that that police department is held accountable for that, and that's something that our city staff, specifically the city manager, would need to take care of. So if that's something that council wants to do, we're gonna need to direct Joel to really hold Jay's feet to the fire for these ordinances. And I feel at this point that that's kind of where it's at now, that we continue to have this conversation. It's, I don't wanna say lackadaisical, but I mean, we've heard that they rip up first parking tickets and all sorts of things like that. So if that's something council really wants them to do, I think we're just gonna have to direct staff to have a hard conversation and kind of change that outlook for the police department, that they're gonna need to enforce them.
I worry about, we just got rid of the historical commission because we couldn't enforce the ordinances. We didn't want to enforce the ordinances. They were there, but we did not want to do anything with them. That's what's going on right now. It's exactly what it is. Are we gonna get rid of all the ordinances? We got rid of the historical commission. We might as well get rid of the rest of them.
I definitely don't think so. But I think that we are gonna have to start holding staff accountable for not enforcing them as they should be. That is the police department's job, is to enforce local and state and federal ordinances and laws. And I know Joel at a couple meetings ago had said that he was gonna try to take over some of that. I have a hard time with that. I feel like Joel has a lot of other areas that he needs to be focused on. And this is something that the police department needs to really take ownership of because it is in their purview. But if they're not gonna do that on their own, then we need to have Joel or other staff or council really have that conversation with the chief and explain, we need to start seeing some action with this. So that's something I think that we should have a conversation about, because this is a repetitious conversation. I mean, it comes up almost every meeting.
Yeah, our last strategic, every one of us sat there and said, yeah, we need to enforce our ordinances. So far, nothing.
One of the things
We have 3 businesses operating within residential areas right now that should not be there. They're disturbing the residents by running saws all night long, by having a snowmobile graveyard out there. Go down Eastern Avenue, the north side of it. That gentleman at 315 Northeastern Avenue has hundreds of snowmobiles, junk snowmobiles laying in his yard. And there they sit. And the city knows about it.
So if I may, quickly, Mayor Pro Tem Hands, just kind of address Councilmember Morgan's concerns, just on surface level. I think that the concerns regarding ordinance enforcement and cleanup of blight has certainly been heard by Joel, and he's taken that to heart. Like Councilmember Andrus mentioned a couple meetings ago, Joel talked about restructuring that the way the city goes about ordinance enforcement and kind of bringing it more in-house, meaning the city manager's office, still working in tandem with the police department. But like I said, restructuring the way that that's kind of done to get more of an outcome out of the process. With regard to the home-based businesses that you mentioned, the city knows of 5 that are, yeah. Like I said, we know of 5 that are occurring within a residentially zoned district. Michaela actually worked to get those addresses put together and submitted to PCI, and they have sent letters out. That was just 2 weeks ago, so about 14 days ago. All of those addresses were notified, and to our knowledge, we haven't heard anything back from PCI anyway. So I don't know where that communication's at between them and the residents at those 5 addresses, but. So there is follow-up being done and some restructuring that's happening. But with that being said, it's all very new, so I wouldn't expect to see immediate change right now. We're about 3 weeks into this.
You've had a lack of communication with the rest of the council telling us about this. It's the first we've heard of this.
Well, like I said, and Councilmember Anderson noticed, or remembered too, that it was mentioned a couple of meetings ago that Joel was gonna restructure some stuff. And it's
That
only
I knew.
been 3 weeks since we've done this and 2 weeks since your guys' last meeting.
But the letter being sent out was not
Sure, gotcha,
getting to any of us.
understood.
I agree with Delora. I don't think Joel should have to put that on his plate. He has enough on there.
Understood. Again, I think that's kind of Joel, the city manager's way of recognizing that this is an important issue to the city council, in his way of wanting to get an accomplishment that is agreeable to the council.
With all due respect, Parker and Joel's not here to say anything.
Sure, yeah.
But I would think that the first step would be for him to hold the city police department accountable for not following the ordinances and not following council's directions. So, I mean, I don't know if he's had that conversation. I'm happy to have that conversation if we need to, but just, I don't feel like that's a city hall staff duty,
Understood.
I'm not quite
knowing
sure
the
what
amount
he-
of,
So I'm not quite sure
complaints we
what
get.
his idea of restructuring is, if it's more bringing it in-house, the police are reporting them up to us, and then you guys are following up and tracking them, or I'd have to see what his idea is on that. It's,
More or less,
understand what it-
it's
what
exactly
the-
how you described.
so it's
Yeah.
more of, you guys go out, tell us where they're at, we're gonna go out and ticket them and follow up with them, okay. So, yeah, that is a major problem, of course, any broken down cars, those ones always become an issue because they could be registered, could run, they could look like crud, but technically they don't violate our ordinance. So, although I wouldn't mind an education brochure or something put together on some of these basic ordinances that are the most common in the city that people break, that then we can publish on the website, as well as possibly put into a water bill to say, we're letting you guys know these are the ordinances that are the most common, and just don't get yourself caught. These are the now fine levels that you could be experiencing, and maybe helps a little, education. So,
I know council had been, had received the manual that I had put together last summer for code enforcement and such, and I'd be happy to put together some one-pager or something like that, just to give some information to the public.
sounds good.
I don't have anything beyond that, no.
Mike? Dave?
Yeah, I saw at the last meeting, no trestle bridge, no street maintenance. Is that like a final decision? What's going on with those?
That wasn't a final decision. That was just kind of a quick presentation. We scheduled our next meeting, we'll do all of the fees and things like that at study session, and then we have an April 1st special meeting to get together and talk a lot of budget and priorities.
Correct, that was just to give council a heads up of like where we're at right now, and just like a, brief overview of where we're at before we get into budget sessions. And then our first one will be March 25th, which is going over the fee schedule. April 1st is going over the capital improvements, and that's where we're gonna discuss that stuff in depth.
So we've talked about the trestle bridge a few times. I thought we had support for that on council. Is that?
We have it on our list, on our 10-year CIP plan. It's just within this next 3 years, there's no money to do it, so it got bumped down.
Well, but I'm seeing council approving like designs for Hubbard Street parking lot behind City Hall, for Mahan Park. I haven't seen a design come through, and we had kind of asked for, well, what are we gonna do with this bridge? How do we get that?
I think we're gonna have to actually have some bridge builders and some talk with some of our architects and see what different options look like, whether it's leaving the existing and redoing the approaches because the center span's fine. What's the most economical and what gets us where we wanna go? And that's still probably gonna be an ongoing process, I believe. And we're probably gonna have to put maybe something in the CIP for that in our budget to say, let's dedicate away some of this to do that initial design and review to see where we wanna go with it. I know
mean-
we've got some pricing from a couple bridge prices Joel had from prefabbed. So we did get some of those numbers before he had shared with us.
Right, but we gotta take that step of getting the design, just like we did for the parking lot behind City Hall, just like we did for Mahan Park, and I don't get what's holding us back from that.
Budget. So I guess that's where we're gonna really dive into it at that meeting to discuss the CIP and if we wanna reprioritize where we wanna put our money at. So that's where we're kind of at, I believe, is looking at that CIP, saying, how can we work this?
But that's the problem I'm bringing up. We already decided that Hubbard Street parking lot is gonna get a design made, Mahan Park is gonna get a design made, and Trestle Bridge is not.
That was in this
Yet.
budget, this fiscal year '25. But if we can find some sort of budget leeway to create a line item for a design for Trestle Bridge, I mean, that's something we can talk about. But we've got to look at the priorities and see, and
And so the decision was priority was Mahan Park and parking lot behind City Hall?
I mean, those were what was brought forward for, we haven't had the Trestle Bridge in the budget yet, where we have already talked about the Mayhem Park, we had talked about Hubbard Street. So, I mean, I'm happy to have that conversation of where to put that. With the Trestle Bridge, I think it's really important to get that safe pedestrian passageway, but then we have to think about the number of people utilizing that versus the number of people parking in the Hubbard Street parking lot and things like that. And we have a limited budget, so, I mean, I'm definitely open to talking about where to put that in priorities,
But we did talk about it.
but we never really prioritized it. We just said that we had to prioritize
So
all of
where-
our capital improvement. We're doing that on April 1st.
Where did the decision to go forward with Hubbard Street parking lot and Mahan Park come from?
It hasn't yet, and so just to kind of let you guys know, that was just for information's sake, like where we're at as of last 2 weeks ago, where we were at with what we're coming up with to present you all for
No.
these meetings coming up. We
Oh,
haven't
we-
decided anything yet.
We allocated $80,000 in the last meeting to design work for Hubbard Street.
So 80,000 is in there for design, but
No, it
Oh.
was spent, we passed motions for them at the last meeting.
for the design,
Yeah.
not for the project
Why
itself.
didn't we pass a motion to design a solution for the Trestle Bridge?
We don't have a proposal for those yet.
How do we get one of those?
Work with a design firm, that's why I'm saying the next
Engineers.
steps is we gotta identify that, put it into our CIP. It's currently not in our CIP, and rearrange the CIP if we need to, as well as, of course, street maintenance is something else that we're gonna have to really address hard at the CIP, when we're doing the budget and go,
So
what
when,
gets yanked out? You may have a design for this Hubbard Street parking lot, but we have not approved any contracts. So we
Right.
may come down to say, guess what, we have this design, but there's also some federal funds that are there for it. And we may have to have a hard look at that, as well as Mayhem Park, to say, we have a design, but we're gonna have to pull this in order to do this. And that comes down to when we all get together and we'll have to have a discussion and a vote on where we think each of the priorities should land.
and we're gonna have all that detail at the April 1st meeting for you guys to give us direction with what all of I have a whole list of all of the projects that are coming down the pipes, even, I mean, that's our 10-year CIP that I want us to go over in depth. And then you guys tell us, and then, you know,
Seemed like council got told the priorities at the last meeting, and I think you
We've-
passed them.
Well, we had approved the CIP, so we had already approved our priorities, and we haven't actually said that bridge is the highest priority. I voted personally against it because I didn't like the Hubbard Street lot, because I think it's not the first of my priorities. But we have previously in our budgets approved it. So, but that's why this is budget season. This is the time for us to really dig into it, and I think we're gonna have a good look at it. Will we have a packet for that in advance, and how much in advance will we have it?
probably that Thursday before like normal, but if we get it done faster, I mean, I'll see if Joel can,
Sounds good. Just as soon as you have it available, just let us, because it will help us.
I can
at a
email you
meeting.
guys the spreadsheets anytime you want with what I show on there.
That'd be helpful as well, because we got to digest it
just
and have time to digest. so.
Don't have a presentation together, but I can send you what I've been working on.
Sounds good. Anything else, Dave, or was that it?
Not right now, thanks.
All right, okay. I don't have anything for roundtable discussion, so we're going to move on to the presentation regarding the Girl Scout property.
Okay, thank you. Just to kind of kick it off, it was, staff was directed by council to pursue exploration of development of the property known as the Girl Scout property. It's a city-owned swath of land just out, or off of the Riverview and Highland and Walcott neighborhood, off of River Street. And so with that, the city developed an RFP and put that out for a period of time. Bids were due on March 4th, and we received one bid from Interra Homes. That proposal was included in your packet, and we will have it up on the screen. And Jeff Hayner from Interra Homes is here to kind of walk us through that presentation. So we, like I said, have it up on the screen. It was also included in your packet as he walks us through it. So I'll hand it over to Mr. Hayner.
Thank you, Parker, and thank you, council, for having me out today and the opportunity to present Interra's proposal for the Girl Scout property here in Allegan. Just to back up, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a history of how I got to be here, how we became involved in this property. Back in October of last year, Joel reached out to our company and basically invited us to come down to walk around the town with him. We drove around in his truck and we just looked at a couple different properties, and his ideas were, hey, we'd love to just get some bigger developers in town and start looking at some property in town. As a number of people have already mentioned, there's obviously a large housing shortage, not only in Allegan, but in Michigan and the nation in general. And we are dedicated as a company to allocating our resources towards providing some solutions to that problem. So we came down in October, and our initial kind of target properties were the elementary schools, actually. Joel kind of let us know what was going on with the consolidation of the schools and the potential that these couple properties were going to be coming on the market, and if there's any creative adaptive reuse we might be interested in working on. Our company is a pretty traditional for-sale product developer. We build your traditional plats and planned unit developments. We're located in Grand Rapids, but we have neighborhoods all over West Michigan. A lot of our projects are larger, 100, 200 acres. But like I said, as we're starting to address some of the housing shortages in some of the kind of tertiary markets, we're getting more integrated with people like Ryan Kilpatrick, who I think you guys have had some experience with as a housing consultant. He is actually our in-house consultant as we try to foray into affordability, working with municipalities on what incentives are available to make some of these projects pencil out. Cost of construction is only going up. As we all know, a starter home is twice as much as it used to be a couple of years ago. And we obviously all know that there's a lot of a segment of the population that just can't even, they're priced out of even the starter home at this point. So we decided to, during our tour of Allegan and of the elementary school properties, Joel said, well, let me drive you up to a piece of land that the city owns that we've, at the time, I think you guys had another proposal on, off Babylon Road, and we said, sure, we'd love to just kind of take a look at it, not knowing much about it. And over the course of the weeks after coming home from Allegan, that was the property that we as a company kind of started focusing on and thought we really enjoyed the tour of Allegan. Joel did a great job of presenting the city and some of the initiatives that you are currently working on to improve the downtown and whatnot, and we thought we'd love to be a part of continuing to help Allegan grow and solving some of the housing shortage. So we kind of put our heads together. We haven't done a ton, really. We haven't done any affordable or attainable housing using government incentives. We just have built market rate houses. So we brought Ryan Kilpatrick in, we brought our engineer in-house, and we even, we have a attorney from Grand Rapids that we utilize who specializes in government incentives, and started getting his thoughts on tax increment financing and what we can do to kind of get creative to make this project as attainable as possible. You know, most people kind of think of developers as the greedy group trying to come in and line their pockets and whatnot, but I will say that we are genuinely passionate about providing an affordable project. It's a lot less fun to stand in front of a group like you and ask to tear down a golf course or whatnot, things that people are not super excited about. It's a lot more fun coming to you and presenting an idea that could potentially be the solution to a local issue. So we put together a presentation, a slide deck that we presented to Joel last week. We thought that we might be in a competition with some other developers. So first step was to get in front of you guys, have a conversation, present kind of our initial thoughts, but really also to listen to you guys as much as possible, see if we're missing the mark at all, if we should be shifting our focus from one thing to another, and really kind of have a dialogue and a conversation where I can take it back to our team. And if this proposal isn't exactly what kind of fits your eye, maybe we can come back and tweak it and find something that will work for everybody. Like I mentioned, housing is expensive, development's expensive, so a lot of this proposal there's a small financial kind of pro forma that eventually we'll dig farther into, but it kind of lays out some of the financial pieces that are part of this and where the city could potentially offer some help to us to make this pencil out, and then in turn allow us to present it to the public at an affordable price point. So I'll just kind of walk you through our presentation. Feel free to stop me at any point, ask questions. I will answer as many questions as I can, but at very least I'll take it back to our team and get answers for you. Like I said, this is kind of we really haven't sunk our teeth too far into one of these, but we have presented proposals like this to other municipalities. And what we're looking for is one that we can really sink our teeth into, become a partner with the city, and then we can take the Allegan Girl Scout project and then kind of take it to other communities and say, look, this worked in Allegan. Look what we're able to do. Look at the tax base we're able to increase and give some, in this case, give some more amenities near the river to the residents and whatnot. So we think it'll be a cool thing for us to take and brag about Allegan a little bit. You guys being proactive and forward thinking about how to utilize whatever incentives and developers are out there to make something work. So yeah, during this slide deck, I had a quick letter for the city council, which you guys have already received a copy of. And then quickly, I just wanted to introduce our team, because it's not just me doing this, and I think that's part of what makes our submission and our company a great partner, is we have a team that we build between 300 and 400 for-sale units a year in West Michigan. We have a team of 50-plus people that, from the building company to the development company, with engineers, designers. We have a full in-house team that can see this project through from start to finish. We definitely don't believe in starting something that we're not going to finish. A lot of the smaller developers, we've noticed that's something that when we present to councils, they come back to us and say, well, this developer promised X, Y, and Z, and they were only able to deliver part of X. And so what I wanted to present to you is a full team of people with decades of experience that we feel very confident that if we say and we commit to doing something, we're going to follow through and commit and see that through. So that is our, Ryan Kilpatrick, as you know, is our in-house consultant that we're using. He's going to be a shoulder to lean on as we if we move forward with this project, as we work on tax increment financing and some of that stuff. I don't know if it's working with Tracy or getting the dollars and cents to work out, but knowing that we have somebody that has a lot of experience in this and that we will be leaning on, hopefully bring some sense of peace to you guys in that sense. We also, Jared Belka is our attorney that we're consulting with to make sure we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's in terms of legality. Next slide. We have a dedicated mortgage consultant that we work with at our bank. Rick Pulaski's our in-house engineer, out-of-house engineer that we contract with. And then if we do move forward with building these homes, what we always try to do is utilize and provide, or utilize as many of the existing contractors and subcontractors in the community as possible, keeping and providing those jobs localized if possible. So here's a view of our site plan. We looked at it from a number of different angles. Something that we consider, we considered all townhomes. I did mention that we are a for sale product developer only. We do not do rental apartments or anything. But that being said, we do have a mix of for sale single family products that we do deliver, and we felt like this would be a great project to try to utilize a couple different product types. The site has some topography issues. The north side of the site, which is the left side of the site, sits a lot higher than the south side of the site near the river. And so the topography kind of guided our road quite a bit, what we're able to do there. We were able to jut off at a cul-de-sac that was able to get us some more units. But the road was we were kind of limited based on topography. In terms of the entrance to the site, we analyzed a couple different options. We analyzed one entrance versus two. Ideally, we would have been able to get an entrance coming off of Babylon in from the north. However, based on topography, there's a large valley there that we would have to potentially build a bridge and things that would make the site financially not feasible. So we stripped it down and got as basic and bare as we possibly could in order to keep driving the price down. Again, the goal is for these to be affordable. We don't expect these to be super high-end. We build high-end and the lots are available, but we're building this with the affordable buyer in mind. So the yellow lots on the north or the left side of the road are all single-family, traditional, front-facing garages. They average about 60 feet wide at the street, but we do vary them a little bit to allow for different price points, different house plans that can fit on those homes. We offer a variety of floor plans, which I will get into in some following slides, but those yellow lots, there will be a variety of options that buyers will be able to choose their home for those. And we have a quality design that stands the test of time, so those will be really, I think those will hold their value nicely and attract that type of buyer. On the, it would be the southeast side of the site, which is the upper right corner, we have two 4-unit townhome buildings facing an alley with a little bit of parking in front there. Again, it's just kind of provides a different price point, a different buyer type. We did try to keep a tree buffer between the townhomes and the existing homes off of Highland Drive there. We do understand that we're kind of building in their backyards a bit, and they're used to trees and nature behind them. So anything we can do to preserve trees to create that buffer will be done. There aren't a ton of mature trees there, but there are some that hopefully we can maintain. And then further into the site, you'll see 12 rear-loaded single-family homes with garages in them. We call them rear-loaded. That just means the garage is in the back of the house versus the front. So the fronts will actually face the outside, and the upper of those 5 or 6 homes will be facing a green space, park-type area that will keep designated green, keep as an amenity for the residents. There could be a soccer field there, or something that we could mow in there. But that'll be a nice green area that the fronts of the rear-loaded single-family and the backs of the townhomes will both face. And then as you get further into the site, the road actually travels downhill and back into that little kind of turnaround area where we have a detention pond which preserves the views of that river and also provides for stormwater detention. And we've kept the whole kind of river area open as an amenity for the community and as an amenity for the neighborhood to come and enjoy. And rather than putting lots right up against there where only 4 or 5 people get access to that, we kept that designated as open space. So again, this is definitely subject to, suggestion and change. The unit mix could change. If you guys would like to see more or less of a certain type, we can definitely do that. But this is all for sale product at this point. Go to the next slide. I won't get into the weeds of this. The council members have this in front of them. This just lays out more context and more narrative to the types of housing that we're proposing, why we're proposing them, just so you understand that it was thought out as to where things went and why they went there and how many of what is going where. Site features, yeah, this is kind of just more of explaining the site. Joel did provide us information as to where utilities come into the site, and so that kind of dictated where our entrance was. We will be connecting to existing infrastructure and then building from there, so there will be the ability for public water and sewer in the development. And like I said, there's some topography issues, and we haven't done exact calculations on cut and fill of grading necessary, but we have our engineers take a preliminary look at it, and we do feel like it is a feasible project that we can accomplish. Financial feasibility. Now we kind of get into the numbers a bit. As I had mentioned, our plan with this project is to utilize the state of Michigan's tax increment financing. In the past, TIF financing has been available for blighted properties that have environmental contamination and whatnot. Recently, the state has pivoted and amended the TIF laws to include attainable and affordable housing. And so we're looking to, based on our financial analysis, we're looking to utilize tax increment financing to reimburse ourselves for the additional infrastructure that we will need to make the site feasible. And on this spreadsheet, it shows what that gap is estimated to look like. It is our estimation that just the ground-up vertical construction, if we weren't to put in any infrastructure into the ground or pay for any of the land, it would be about an $11.5 million project in terms of market rate, how much it would cost us to build all 46 of the units. Infrastructure on top of that to actually make the houses occupiable is another about $2.5 million, where we would be looking for gap financing. The benefit of TIF financing is we're not asking for a check from you up front. We're simply asking for a reimbursement of tax revenue that's generated by our development. So currently, if the property is basically not producing any tax income, if we move forward with a plan to create 46 income-producing or tax-producing homes, we would be asking to take a portion of that to recoup our development costs on the infrastructure, which is a very typical brownfield type plan. Now, with the new language in the state's TIF laws, we are now able to additionally capture vertical costs that are being utilized for units that are specifically targeted for the 80 to 120 AMI buyer. We feel like recouping and capturing infrastructure costs is enough for us to get this project into the attainable category. And we would be working with Ryan Kilpatrick and the city's finance team and the state of Michigan to see where else we can get dollars and drive the prices of those homes down even more. Those would not be going to the developers' pockets. Those would be going towards continuing to drive down the prices of units to make them even more affordable and attainable. And that would be a program that we would set up, a TIF program with the city, and work through the details of that. Like I said, we really haven't done a full one of those yet, so we will be learning, but we're confident that we have the team in place to do so. This also, as I mentioned, does not include a purchase price for the land. The proposals that we have kind of started presenting to municipalities, we have started utilizing city-owned land because there's the option or the availability of that land being provided at a nominal price. That's for the council to decide, but the numbers as we've crunched them right now currently do not incorporate a purchase price for the land. That was talked about with Joel, but nothing was, formalized or anything like that, so that's just part of this pro forma that we can, again, talk through more when that time comes. More or less, the financial breakdown is to show you that we have done the homework and we do know what kind of we're getting ourselves into. This is a hypothetical 30-year reimbursement. A TIF is not necessarily going to be a 30-year reimbursement, and with a project relatively this small, we won't be recouping dollars into the year 30 or anything like that, but this is just kind of a breakdown of how that normally would look, kind of on a larger project. The unit mix that we are offering, I mentioned the front-loaded single-family. The top two on that chart right there, the front-loaded single-family. Those are homes that would go on the yellow lots that I showed on the site plan. I put on there a smaller version and a larger version. Those are just two different size homes that could both fit on those lots, a little different price point, but just goes to show you that somebody potentially could choose a little smaller of a footprint and save some money, or choose a little larger footprint and pay a little bit more money. And then our rear-loaded single-family, those will be kept at an attainable 80 to 120 AMI price point, utilizing whatever dollars we can get. Those are 100% designated to stay affordable. And then our two-story townhome, that's what those units cost, approximately retail. And that's pretty competitive for new construction. We're using, I don't want to say our cheapest versions, but our most price-efficient floor plans based on the demographic that we're trying to target here. And then we just have a couple kind of basic renderings of what some of the front elevations might look like on some of the, these are the traditional front-facing garage homes, just a couple of just kind of options that potential buyers would have. That's kind of the smaller version, and then the next slide, just slightly bigger footprint, but pretty modest at the same time. And then these would be the rear-loaded with an alley. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but on the site plan, there's an alley that would split the 6 from 6 where garages and entrance for cars would be off of the back of those. But that's kind of what they would look like from the front. Some more actual real-life photos of what they can look like. On the top row in the middle there, that's kind of an example of some light landscaping, some groundscapes that people are able to do even on a rear-loaded kind of attainable home. So it still feels like a home, even though you really don't have as much space, yard space as a traditional home. We're still able to give you some to make it kind of feel personalized. And then our townhomes, garages in the front, units on the ends are slightly different from the units in the middle, but it's basically your traditional townhome and price point to reflect that, with attached walls in the middle there for some cost savings. And a project timeline. This is a very rough estimate. In our world, timelines are always changing, but we obviously want to give at least a structure and a framework for us to work from. And if we move forward with City Council, we can sit down and kind of hone this in a little bit further, but we're looking at building into 2027, so. Very excited about it. Happy to answer any quick questions. If we do kind of reach an agreement with City Council to move forward, our team will kind of dig into this proposal a lot further and start finalizing some numbers and have follow-up conversations with Joel and Parker and who we need to, but wanted to at least have kind of introduce this to you and introduce myself and our team to you guys and see where you'd like to go from here.
All right. Heard a couple things, had a couple questions. I heard some stuff about brownfields and wondering if that's gonna require us to on-shelf our EDC. Or
So you, at the regular meeting, we're gonna discuss, developing a three-person committee to discuss the ins and outs of all of that.
I just know that that's who normally handles our brownfield and TIF and stuff like that might go through our EDC. So we shelved it for a reason. It can always come off shelf.
Right.
And then the last one was, I'd seen a lot of green open space in here. Are you expecting like an HOA for the whole neighborhood then
there'll
to
be an
to maintain
association.
that?
Yep, correct. All of our developments have an HOA that we create and stay kind of a part of, and then eventually, once we feel it's ready to hand off to the residents, we then do that and create a transfer of ownership of the association.
All right. Anybody else have some questions?
I have some things. First of all, Jeff, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for responding to the RFP and then doing up this proposal. I really appreciate looking at it. It's beautiful. It's very exciting to me. I will say that I went to Interra Homes website and kind of took a look around, and I think I've seen some of the properties. I have a daughter at Grand.
Oh, yeah.
We passed one in Allendale and kind of clicked through some of them and still seeing about that 300K as the lowest price. Peter had just asked about that green space, something that's come up quite frequently through our public spaces and just through our residents, is a lot of people utilize this property for nature walking and things of that nature. If there is an HOA, is that going to prohibit outside residents from coming in and enjoying some of that?
Absolutely not, especially if that's a wish of of the council. We do have planned a walking path around the perimeter, and that was included and designed for the community, because in talking to Joel, that was something that was stressed to us, is it's a community resource, the river, and we'd like to have people to utilize it. So, yeah, we anticipate that being access to the public. We'd have to figure out if there's any restrictions to that or whatnot, but we intend for there to be as much public benefit as possible.
Okay. And I know I used to sit on the planning commission, and we've had a few members that had noted we don't have a lot of neighborhood parks. So you'd mentioned a soccer field or something like that. I don't know if there's ever any possibility of putting in some sort of play structures or anything
Yeah.
for children living there.
I'm glad you said that, and yes, absolutely. There is on the plan, I don't know if you can bring that up again, but in between lots 2 and 3, there is what we call a community open space. We also have called it a pocket park. The rendering doesn't show, but we do plan to have a little play structure or something there as an amenity.
And I understand this is a concept, so.
Just concept, yeah, and if there's certain other, whatever you guys would like to see, we're definitely open to that. But we just know that Joel really stressed community benefit, and we agree. And if there's any place that we can include that,
Yeah.
we'd like to help do that.
And we've had a couple residents and, community advisors and representatives in talking about the lack of housing. Clearly, Allegan's a bit landlocked. I work for a healthcare provider in this city, and we're constantly getting new staff members, none of which live in town.
Yep.
And I think if we had some housing available, they may try to avoid that commute from the Grand Rapids area and move into town, which helps increase our tax base, et cetera. But that being said, the price point is a little high. I don't know if you've seen our master plan, but our median income is, I think I wrote it down, about $40,000. And so I'm super supportive of this. I don't want to come across as that I'm not, but as much assistance as we can get to lower that price point would be helpful. Not to get into too much of personal, but at that level, I mean, that's almost outside of affordable for my husband and I, who are both employed, 2 kids in college, et cetera. So,
Understood.
yeah, so that price point is just something that, I would have a little bit of concern with. We've got 10.4%, poverty rate in the city, and I don't want to basically price our own residents out of living in their city, so. But otherwise, I think this is wonderful. I really hope that council is supportive as well, and that we can move forward with that and get that commission set up to really delve into this project more.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Understood.
Looking at the hypothetical 30-year reimbursement chart, Just trying to figure out what the accumulated tax reimbursement means there, because is that like the expected accumulated tax reimbursement that we'd be reimbursing to you for the infrastructure each
No,
of those years, or?
That's housing mills that's going to the city.
So then we just have to look at our millage to figure out what the
Exactly.
taxes are, so that's what I was trying to figure out, because I'm like, we get
Yes.
2 million, 2.5 million pretty fast there, and that's why it's like.
Yes. We would have to figure out how much of that goes towards,
The millage and how much.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
And there is a 2% CPI increase included in there, so that's why that's why it incrementally goes up each year as well. So there's some inflation built in.
Any other questions? Teresa, Bill, Mike, Dave? Any- All right,
Well, thank you. Looking forward to diving in deeper. Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is discussion regarding the mayor's exchange days with Hastings, Michigan.
Yes, so you all may recall, last summer, the city of Allegan worked with the MML to arrange a mayor's exchange with the city of Fremont. Plans for that fell apart when the Fremont mayor, was unable to make those dates work. And so we kind of put that visit on hiatus. And at some point between then and now, Fremont found a new date, and they are doing a mayor's exchange with the city of South Haven. So, in lieu of that, understanding from the council that this is something that you guys still wanted to explore, Joel reached out to the city manager for the city of Hastings, and she was more than enthusiastic to do something like this. This would be put together and arranged outside of the scope of the MML. That deadline for that program is passed, so this is something that each city is going to do kind of independently. In your packet, there were a couple of dates that worked for those folks over in Hastings, September 24th and October 3rd of this year. The way it would work, one day would be spent in Hastings, and the second day would be spent here in Allegan, and we would just do a full day's visit on each of those dates. So those are the proposed dates, like I said. They are going to have their city council vote on it tonight. We wanted to get it in front of you guys to have some discussion, just some feedback on those dates, if that works for you guys. And then we can let them know, and then I presume that it'll be a vote of you all as well. I think that time frame that they put on there, we plan for activities between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So it'll be a full day's worth.
I don't think I really have to say how I feel about this. I love it. And I would be really excited, but that's just me. I'm 1 of 7.
Nothing currently on my calendar, and I was for doing this exchange as well, and this gives me plenty of notice to put it on a calendar if we
Yeah.
agree to it that way. I don't put something on it.
Sure.
Anybody else have?
I'm not opposed to it.
Sounds good. All right, perfect. That's what, I'm just looking around, getting the rounds. No, wonderful. We're really excited. The city manager over there for Hastings is wonderful. It's a really nice community. If you've been there before, you know. So we're looking forward to doing a visit over there and then getting off to show off our new downtown to a whole set of visitors as well. So cool. All right, we will work with them then and kind of confirm those dates. And then, like I said, we'll probably bring this back to you guys for your official approval at a regular meeting.
All right, sounds good. Last couple items on the agenda here is review council agenda. Is there any changes or additions? I see none, then I know we'll have to excuse the mayor, so that's about it. And then I will adjourn the meeting at 6:28, and we'll resume with our normal meeting at 7 p.m. 7 PM. I'm going to call the Monday, March 11th, normal 7 PM meeting to order. If I can get a roll call, please.
Sure. Councilmember Redding,
Here.
Councilmember Zeter,
Present.
Councilmember Andrus,
Here.
Councilmember Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember Galloway,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hands,
Present.
and Mayor Byrd. You have a quorum.
Can I have a motion to excuse Mayor Baird?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Now we'll stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda unless there's any amendments?
I make a motion, we approve this evening's agenda.
Support.
All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes. Approval of study session meeting minutes from February 26, 2024. Is there any adjustments, amendments, or changes needed? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the study session meeting minutes as presented.
I support.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the regular meeting minutes from February 26. Is there any notes or adjustments needed?
I make a motion to approve.
I support.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to public hearings and adoptions of ordinances. 8A, public hearing and adoption of Resolution 24.07 on the vacation of undeveloped Sherman Street right-of-way east of North Main Street. Have a report on this?
Yes, you all, this body has reviewed this matter twice now before. Since you all last met, the city manager, Joel Dye, met with the surrounding property owners, all of whom attended the meeting. It was on a Friday at 6 o'clock, except for one property owner. Those that were present were all agreeable to the terms that were presented. The city manager reviewed this with department heads, specifically Mr. Kadsban and Mr. Swiris, and they both assured Joel that the city has no need for this city right-of-way. No work will ever be planned in this area, and so this is before you tonight in order to resolve this issue and to let these property owners move on with what they want to accomplish in this area. We just need your approval tonight.
Is there any questions from anybody?
I just want to make sure, Parker, that the property owners did have an opportunity to review the resolution before it came before us.
That is
Or they
correct,
kind of
yes.
drafted it all together?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
verifying.
There's no other questions or dialogue on this. Can I get a motion to adopt the resolution? Oh, is this a public hearing?
Yep.
Sorry. So then it is 7:03. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to make any comments? If not, then I'll close the public hearing at 7:04.
I will make a motion to adopt resolution 24.07.
All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. On to public comment. If there's anybody in the audience that wants to come forward for a public comment, you have 3 minutes to present.
Fantastic, thank you. Good evening, thanks for letting me come. My name is Emily Jipp, and I am running for Circuit Court Judge position. That's the newly created position that Governor Whitmer created in 2022 that's appearing on the ballot in 2024. I'm sure you've heard from some other candidates at this point. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my history and why I think I would be the most appropriate candidate for the position. I have been licensed for, I'm now in my 15th year of practice, so I've been licensed since 2009. I'm licensed in Kentucky, Connecticut, and Michigan. I moved to Laketown Township here in Allegan County in 2016 with my husband, and then my daughter was 2 weeks old at that point, and then our son is the only Michigander in the family. My kids go to Douglas Elementary. Right now, I am working as a prosecuting attorney in Van Buren County, but I did spend about 7 years working here in Allegan City, so it's nice to kind of see the same buildings and some friendly faces. One of my main goals, if I was to be elected, would be to get drug treatment court up and running again. Several years ago, we had a veterans treatment court, a sobriety treatment court, a mental health treatment court, and a drug treatment court. And unfortunately, Judge Belargin, who is a district court judge, was carrying the bulk of the specialty court programming, and he felt that his docket did not allow him to continue to carry all the specialty treatment courts. So it was reduced to veterans treatment court and mental health treatment court in our community. And I don't know about you, but almost everybody I know seems to have either been directly or indirectly impacted by the drug issue within our community, methamphetamines, fentanyl, opioids, et cetera. So what drug treatment court would be designed to do is to keep people out of jail or out of prison, first or second time users that are struggling to get clean, and it's an intensive service where a judge actually presides, the participants all come together, they engage in rehabilitative services, they're held accountable by the court and each other in this specialty programming. Sometimes on the back end, they can end up with diverted charges. But what it means is fewer people are in prison and in local facilities, so that the people that really, their history warrants that kind of treatment, there's space and room for them in our facilities. So I do think that's really important to put back into place in our community, and with a third circuit court judge, there should be no excuse caseload-wise why that can't be done. Besides being a prosecuting attorney right now and previously in Allegan County, I've also worked as a criminal defense attorney, and I've worked in private practice handling family law issues. So I'm the only candidate of the three that has both the family law and the criminal law experience that this position is designed to cover. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to leave some stickers for you guys, and thank you for the time and the fact that you actually count down so I know how much time I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? If not, we will move on from public comment on to item 10A, request from the Allegan County Area Chamber of Commerce requesting a reduced rate to rent the Griswold Auditorium for the evening of April 13.
Yes, so included in your packet was a letter from the executive director of the Allegan Area Chamber of Commerce, Taylor Bentley, who is in the audience as well. But to kind of fill in the gap here, the Spirit of Allegan Awards is an annual event that in the past has been a luncheon. It has been a weekday evening event. Taylor is restructuring the event to be a Saturday night drinks, snacks, and hors d'oeuvres evening at the Griswold to recognize accomplishments that have happened throughout the year in the Allegan community and highlight some of the people that are doing some really important work as well. Taylor, in addition to changing up the formatting of the event, has also added a couple of new awards that'll be debuted at this year's event as well. So as part of that planning process, and in an effort to continue the partnership that the city has with the Chamber of Commerce, the Griswold Auditorium was considered to host this evening banquet and award ceremony. The Chamber is requesting a reduced rate, a free rate, but of course paying the $200 fee for the light and sound management of the evening. We'll have Ryan Berza on hand to run that for the group on the evening of April 13th. And also, I believe it was mentioned in the letter that the Chamber of Commerce would be providing a ticket per council member to attend the event as well. And if you have any questions, the executive director is here, like I mentioned.
So is this open to the public, or is this a private event?
It's a ticketed event, but it is open to the public. Anybody can purchase a ticket to attend. Welcomed to. Taylor and I went around last week and took posters to all of our neighboring businesses to hang up in the front window and invite our businesses as well. And then those that will be receiving an award obviously will be invited.
Any
So
other
they're
questions?
asking just for the cost of,
The sound and light operator.
okay,
Yep.
which is fine.
For the reduced fee, would they be putting us as a sponsor of the event? since it's a
Yes,
ticketed
sorry,
event?
I failed to mention that, but it was in her letter that the city of Allegan would be recognized as a sponsor. Yep. Both in print at the event and then spoken aloud, recognized there at the event as well.
Any other discussion?
We've traditionally only done this for events open to the public, right?
That's my recollection.
Yeah, again, while it is a ticketed event, it is open to the public. Anybody's welcome to attend at the price of a ticket.
That's not the same though, right?
Well, we offered the Griswold for free for the Lake Allegan benefit concert that took place in August, the Ryan Hurd concert.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. So there's precedent.
Yeah,
I think they paid light and sound as well, or,
they did.
so. Any other discussion?
I'm just not a fan of giving it away.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with the ticketed event part of it. I understand we did that for Ryan Hurd concert. I don't know about that. That one doesn't sit right with me. Even the Ryan Hurd concert, I mean, there was a ton of money there. It was a benefit for the Save Lake Allegan. Maybe that wasn't the right choice, you know?
Yeah.
I'm okay with doing it because I think the chamber does a lot for the city of Allegan.
Taylor, if you have something you want to add.
Just that you would be sponsoring it, and it isn't just exclusive.
You can
to
come to the
chamber
podium.
Members, this is for the community, and it's to try to bring the community together and have a nice celebration.
Can you come up to the podium?
Yes, I can.
We live stream,
Thank
so
you.
they can't hear you if you're talking
Okay,
back there.
sorry about that. It would be more of a sponsorship versus a giveaway. This event is not exclusive to chamber members, it's not exclusive to chamber businesses. This is about celebrating the Allegan area and the people that make up the community as well as the businesses. But the whole concept is to try to get people to come out and show support and have a good, fun, memorable night where we celebrate 2023 and look ahead positively into 2024 and beyond. So while we do have to charge a ticket price because we just don't have the funding to be able to offer free admission, that's what the ticket price covers. We aren't going to make any money at all on this event, period. It's based on sponsorships, like donating the Griswold, like some of the businesses that are going to be supporting this event. But it's really just about trying to get as many people from the community to be able to come as possible.
What are some of the awards that you give away?
So I looked back as much as I could. It was difficult to find some of the historical evidence because they've changed over the years, right? But we essentially, the board and I came to an agreement about the 7 awards, and I can tell you what those are right now if you'd like me to, without mentioning the winners.
That's fine.
Okay, so we have Business of the Year in the manufacturing and industrial segment. We have Business of the Year, Retail Service. And then we have Community Service, which is like nonprofit, person or business. We have Rising Star, which is someone in the community under 40. Agriculture is a new one. And then probably the biggest one of all is, in the past, we had our highest award. It was the President's Award. From here on out, it will be the Jana Tibbetts Legacy Award. So we've spoken with Steve a long time ago, and he's very supportive of that. We've already notified all the winners that will be receiving these awards. Parker, am I missing one award? I feel like I am.
I did not count along with you, I apologize.
Educator, sorry.
There it is.
Educator
Yep.
of the Year. I think that's it. I wasn't counting, but I'm pretty sure that's all of them. And then this is what going forward, they're not gonna change anymore. This will be a going forward way to continue on.
This used to be an awards banquet. That's what this is, correct?
It is not going to be a banquet this year.
No,
There's
but
not.
that's what it has been in past.
Yes,
Yeah,
so we
okay.
decided to just do appetizers, hors d'oeuvres, and desserts, and encourage people to maybe go to some of our local restaurants beforehand. But we'll have a cash bar, we'll have snacks and desserts, and then probably a snack to enjoy in the auditorium. The presentation will actually be in the auditorium. The whole shebang starts at 7 PM, so a little bit later, hope with the thought that then if, you know, guests wanted to go venture to some of our restaurants beforehand to get something to eat or drink, they could.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other questions?
So this isn't going to be a fundraiser?
No.
So the money is not gonna go, is it just to like the cost of the food and alcohol, or?
So
what is
the alcohol is it's cash, so that part, I suppose, would be the only fundraiser part of it, but like, we won't probably make, this isn't a fundraising event, it's a community event.
Well, if I could see a fundraiser that would actually help, like, there's events that are done for profit, and then there are events where like the funds are going somewhere, or they're free events, and
So any sponsorships that we get, like from businesses, for example, it would cover the cost of like the catering, of the actual awards themselves, of any of the signage, print materials, lighting, centerpiece, just any sort of tie-in around the event. Does that make sense?
yeah, so are you already, I guess the question would be, are you already doing this at a loss at this point? An
As of right now,
organization?
it would be considered that. I'm hoping that,
Okay.
that we'll get some sponsorships in addition to, like, I'm hoping that, if, you know, the Griswold gets provided as a sponsorship, that would help, and we'll hopefully have some businesses come through too.
You don't know yet what ticket sales would be? but
No,
in
I mean, I'm
theory,
hoping we
those could
sell out,
be-
right? I know what I
Right.
planned for, what I told the caterer
Never
as a quote, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm just struggling with the $100,000 capital improvement project we got coming on the Griswold for next year versus we're not gonna be able to charge for a lot of events the more we do this, and I don't know, it's a tough sell. If they're doing it at a loss already and we're kind of contributing, I guess I can see that, but at some point, we're gonna have to kind of call it on this whole thing and figure out how we're gonna make money with the Griswold.
And I will just say, we've tried to have conversations multiple times on how we can have a policy on what we approve for reduced or free rates, and it never seems to go anywhere, so it's always like a case-by-case basis. And it becomes very difficult, so I would, again, propose that we bring that discussion back up again if we're struggling with what we approve and what we don't. For me personally, Taylor, I am in support of this. I know that the chamber often does a lot of promotion for the city in your newsletters and all sorts of things. We've got a lot of support for our businesses in the city itself and in the area. So I'm supportive of the request, and I appreciate that you did have that foresight to include that $200 for staff and lighting,
and tickets for all of you. We hope that you'll come.
as well as the tickets.
One thing I would suggest for if we are gonna go through with the sponsorship, that we would have our materials out and available there for the rental of the Griswold, so that people know that it's available, that they're enjoying this beautiful facility and feel free to come and rent it from us.
Yep.
And think of other big events that they may wanna bring in, so if any of the restaurants around town wanna do a concert series and sponsor it, we're open to things like that, you know, helps their businesses, dinner and a show, whatever. That's what it's kind of the point of sponsoring it would be our own self-promotion of the facility.
That's a great idea, Peter, especially with that audience that you might capture at that event.
Well, and if you had something written up too, that you, like, that talked about that, I could include it in our newsletter to get that word out as well.
We have our website on that, and I'm sure Ryan can get that to her, our website on that.
Yes,
and our
most
rates.
definitely. And that material that you mentioned, Peter, we've got some stuff made up that's got rental information already pre-printed, so.
So that's what I would ask for when you mention it at the event that it's being sponsored, but be sure if you're interested in renting the facility, please come talk to the city about it. But if there's any other discussion, Bill?
No, I'm very happy with the Chamber of Commerce. was a member on the board of the Chamber of Commerce years ago, when I was a young guy, and did a lot for that, and I know what they do for the community. They don't have a lot of money, they don't get a lot of money, so I'm for them. And they, like I said, they do a lot for our community, so.
I'd entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion that we do the reduced rate for the amount of money for the $200.
All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. On to item 11A, city boards, commissions, and area agencies. 11B, 1, Finance Department, request to approve accounts payable and payroll. It is requested that city council approve accounts payable in the amount of $235,264.49 and payroll in the amount of $109,941.95 for a total disbursement of $375,216.44. Is there any discussion? Otherwise, a motion for approve.
I'll support that motion.
I'll call a vote. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to item 11F1, recommendation to have the mayor appoint 3 persons from the city council to a subcommittee to work with the city staff and Interra Homes and on the development of Girl Scout property.
Yes, so this is obviously a direct follow-up to the conversation, the presentation that was had at your study session from Mr. Jeff Hayner from Interra Homes. Just to kind of expound on that a little bit, this has been a goal of the city councils. I think it's listed there on your council goals, number 2, economic development, to identify and promote areas in the city for the development of well-planned housing. So the city staff views this as aligning directly with the city council's goals to do just that. We've been very successful in adding second floor residential units in our downtown. I think it mentions here in your packet, the city has been involved in the installation of 15 new second-story apartments through a variety of different grants and state programming, as well as just, I guess I would say, that progress has encouraged for other additional second-floor living units that we know of that have happened without our guidance or support. So obviously, that's a great momentum. We want to see that continue in our neighborhoods. As you all know, the property that we have available is limited, and so this is seen by city staff as an opportunity to pursue if this is a way that we want to go forward. So as part of that, this process is going to be a little bit more involved, we anticipate, than some of the work that we've done to get those second floor units put in the downtown. So as part of that, Joel would like to have a 3-person subcommittee formed to work alongside city staff and the developer Interra Homes as we make our way through this process with them.
Now, has the RFP already closed?
Yes, yep, that closed on March 4th.
So we only received the 1 bid.
The one bid, correct.
The subcommittee will meet, what, every 2 days, every 3 days, every year, or what?
My understanding, to be determined by the group.
Okay.
So.
Quick question, Parker.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any plan to invite any other stakeholders from the community to be involved with the subcommittee? Or is it just council?
Not that I'm
listed?
aware of,
Okay.
but I'm sure that's an option that we could explore. We had 3 people I know speak at the study session.
There seems to be quite a bit of interest
I
in
was
the
just gonna
project.
say, there's certainly
so,
interest.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in it, and that was one of the things when we met about, putting this 3-person subcommittee together, that, we can add these things in later. I think initially it's just to review the proposal, go over, the financing pieces, see if it's gonna work for us, just as the city. And then I think as, we progress along, then we would invite other stakeholders and things like that in. once we get a better understanding of their proposal.
Now, of course,
I would definitely encourage that, so, sorry, Peter.
I'm just thinking that subcommittee could always hold a public hearing, a public meeting, an open house to discuss after they kind of first get their arms around, is this even economically feasible for the city? Because that's why I'd probably say we can wait on a stakeholder, everybody else being on the board or on this subcommittee. I usually view subcommittees are just council members, and then, because it's not a sub-board. So as a subcommittee, I think 3 members would be good. Any other discussion? Do we need a motion on this?
Yeah, so tonight is just a motion to
Create a subcommittee?
create the subcommittee. Those interested are asked to email Mayor Byrd
Did already.
by the end of this week with your interest.
By March 15th.
Right on. Yes, that's the end of the week. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to create the subcommittee?
So moved?
I support it.
All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. On to 11F2. Adoption of Resolution 2408, authorizing a 6-month pilot programming establishing the operating hours of City Hall to be Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Do I have a report?
Yeah, so again, before I kick it off, to Tracy, this was something that was kind of discussed at your previous meeting. Right now, just as a refresher, the way City Hall staff operates is we're still a 5-day-a-week operation currently, but staff rotates. So a staff member who has Friday off is also off on Monday, and then they're working Tuesday through Friday, and then the following week, working Monday through Thursday. During that process, we have noticed, I guess I can call them some hiccups, when it comes to staff productivity in a way. But as one who will not participate in this because of the scope of my position, I'm going to let these two talk about it a little bit more, because they have more of a firsthand knowledge than I do, so.
So recently, I mean, I know we discussed this at the last study session, and Joel proposed a 6-month or a 12-month pilot project. We have reduced it down to 6 months, and with some staffing changes that have happened recently, we're noticing more of an issue with the shifting of those opposite days and that, and we're more shorthanded because of some staffing changes that Joel made recently. So we had thought, by proposing this, it would solve a lot of those issues, and we would be going from working 7:30 to, what are we right now?
The window's open from 8:30 to 4:30.
8:30 to 4:30, so we'll be open, or we'll be 7 to 4:30. And, besides what I think is more efficient for us as a department, it's mostly my department. It's actually all just my department now. It just makes it a lot easier for scheduling and when people have time off or if people get sick, to have us all be there on the same days, and even customers or people, I've noticed it mostly with the cemetery when people have issues with that. And somebody's off, or, well, that's not even, well, it does affect you too. Anyways, there's just a lot of little nuances that we're noticing where it would just be easier if everybody was there Monday through Thursday, the same times and dates. Besides that, I mean, we kind of explained everything else at the last meeting. Michaela, I don't know if you want to add anything else, but I'm hoping that you guys will approve this 6-month pilot program, and if you have any other specific questions or if there's anything I missed, you can discuss it now, but that's
Will
where.
we be receiving our packets on Wednesday then?
Yes, I imagine that's the way that we would proceed. We would just shift that up day to Wednesday.
Why 7 o'clock? Most
The
people aren't even
idea-
up at that time.
The idea is to give services to people that may work
7
third
to 3.
shift or something like that. We would be more open to, people that work an off shift that wouldn't normally be able to come in and see us.
You've had complaints from people that you weren't open early enough for them? Or have they taken the idea that, okay, they're not open, so I'm not gonna come in at 7 and just gone at a normal time?
I think it's just never really been an option to them, so they don't complain because it's not like it was something, this is almost an added.
Okay, so this is a
benefit.
pilot program, okay.
Correct. Yep.
I said it last time, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not for it. We are a service office that is supposed to be open to our community 5 days a week. If there's scheduling issues, then maybe we don't have 2 off on Monday and 2 off on Friday. Maybe we give them a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday throughout the week sometime. So I am not for a pilot program or for this to go forward at all.
I agree with Teresa on that. The agreement we had when we allowed the flexible work schedule was that it wouldn't impact service 5 days a week. And now I'm hearing that it's impacting service 5 days a week, and so I'm going, well, then that didn't work. And I don't know that choosing to give less service to the community is the way I'd want to go on that. I think there's probably more creative solutions, but I feel like we set the expectation that we provide service 5 days a week here at City Hall, and that's what we need to stick to. And I'm not sure I heard a majority of council members agree to this. Watching the meeting, I'm going, I heard Bill come out first strong with, well, no, we're a service organization, we got to provide that service. I didn't hear 4 people change their mind within that conversation. I'm surprised the resolution is coming to us this way.
I've been pretty open. I struggle with this as well. And I kind of agree that if the 410s aren't necessarily working, there's either a creative way to do it, or unfortunately, we go back to the normal shift of 8 hours, 5 days a week. I will say, I feel like we kind of had said, yeah, we'd be willing to do it, like, check it out or look into it, but we would need to see something in writing, but I'd have to look at the meeting to see for sure. This is a tough one for me. It really is. I understand that it's a pilot project. I know when Joel said that he wanted a year, I pushed back against that. That's way too long. I feel like 6 months is really hard as well, because once you start that habit, how do you pull it back if it's not working? Same thing with what the scheduling is now. So it kind of puts any revert back. We're at a disadvantage to do that when people get used to that new schedule. So this is rough for me.
I too find it difficult for myself that we are a service organization for the city of Allegan. We should be here Monday through Friday, but I understand what Tracy and the people want. They want to work as little as they can, and same like I always did, but I have a problem. They're supposed to be there 5 days a week. I mean, it's a city. This isn't a bank. This isn't an insurance office. It's a city.
I will say there is a trend nationally to change. I'm well aware of that. You know, if you look at other countries, it's a lot more 35 to 37 hours a week rather than a full 40. So there's nothing that is in stone that you have to have 5 days a week, 8 to 5, 40 hours. But
And
again, also with the remote options that are available, and this is, I'm just speaking out loud with the things that I'm weighing in my head. I understand that actual face-to-face contact has diminished. There's a lot more online payments being made. We have a drop box for payments that are coming in on a Friday.
And that's what we're noticing a lot on Fridays is there's not many people coming in, and the most that we're doing is taking a couple phone calls and processing what mail might come in. And, last Friday I worked it because we were shorthanded, and there was maybe 10 checks. and those all came in the mail. And so, I mean, we're just noticing that, people aren't coming in for stuff that's, you know,
Here's my
that can't
thought
get
on that is,
answered on Monday, but.
I saw some numbers in here, but it didn't address exactly what the difference is between every day of the week and Friday, or, you know, rest of the week and Friday. What if we were to table this and you guys collect that type of data over the next 2 weeks, so we can understand fully, is there really business happening on Friday, or is there no business really happening on Fridays? Because that's more where I would have to be to say, if nobody's coming in, there's nobody at the counter, we're not really getting any calls, then that's a different matter. It's, nothing's going on, why am I having the person here? I'd rather have extended hours on the other days to be open earlier and or later if
Well, and
nobody's.
that's the thing, is we're still working the 40 hours where they're, you know, and I think that a lot of people would get used to being able to stop in the morning, or in, you know, the afternoons are gonna be the same hours, but, I mean, we feel more productive, and I really do notice a difference with, you know, staff's overall,
Productivity.
yep,
So
and morale.
that's what I would like to see. I don't know if anybody else would want to see that type of data before, because I didn't see that in the report when I was looking through, to just be like, what's the difference on a Friday? You're saying it's less, but it's like, if we're only getting like 2 people at the counter and they're just dropping off bills, you know, what type of activity's going on a Friday? What type of, so it would just be kind of like, record down what's happening on the next 2 Fridays. And we could table this and readdress this at the next meeting. And then that may give me a little more comfort in it. I don't know if anybody else is feeling on that.
I'm really supportive of a flexible work schedule, but I still feel like we're expected to be open 5 days a week. I think that's what the public expects, and that was part of what I heard in the conversation at the last meeting too, is, well, we've got to figure out some way to communicate with the public, find out, make sure we've got a process for good feedback. And I'm not seeing any of that come forward. And so again, I'm in favor of the flexible work week for folks. I think it's a great benefit, but we got to get together as a team and figure out how to provide service 5 days a week. That's the expectation. And creative problem solving, I think, can do
I
it.
agree with that think, you know, I'm all about flexible schedule too, as well. But I think it needs to be worked out that everybody gets their 40 hours in, but we're still open 5 days a week.
And we've got employees here 5 days a week. We even said that there would be employees, so I'm not sure why we can't figure out some way to leverage those and provide the services that we provide 5 days a week. And I think it comes down to just working through it as a team. If everybody's aligned to that goal of, we're gonna be able to have flexible work as long as we can provide the services that need to be provided 5 days a week, then I think the team can figure it out.
I would prefer to go that route as well, Dave, at this point. If full council is in agreement with Peter to do a study, I mean, I'd be all right going that way as well, but I really, yeah, I struggle. But I agree that if staff can come together to realize maybe you don't get a Monday off, but you get a Thursday off or something, I don't know if they're amenable to that or not, but if that's what it is, that's what it is, so. But yeah, I guess I'll defer to the rest of the group up here on whether we want to see a study at all, or if we just make our motion for this and do what we need to do.
And so I'd either need a motion in the affirmative or a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 24.08.
Do I have a second? All those in favor signal by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion doesn't pass. All right, communications from city manager, council, and mayor. Is there anything from Michaela, from you guys over at your table?
Anything? I just want to say thank you for bearing with us. If you noticed, obviously Joel's not here, if you noticed. But also, I was running back and forth and manning our live stream for tonight. So Ryan Burzo was out of the office today. So folks at home might notice that it was kind of a static image all night. Ryan does a really great job of managing our live stream for us, jumping back and forth between point of views from cameras when we have guest speakers at the podium, jumping back and forth between the slideshow so folks can follow along with us all in this room. And so his absence is apparent, but obviously he needs his time. But we were able to make it work as we did. So thank you again for bearing along.
All right. Teresa?
I do not have anything, thank you.
Bill?
I forgot to mention something that I was in the roundtable, but short-term rentals, I think that's something as a council we should look into.
Has there been any noted problems with short-term rentals or?
No, but I'm more proactive than I am reactive. I would rather see us take care of it before we have any problems. We have, there's 3 or 4 Airbnbs that I'm aware of, then probably there's more than that, but that's what I'm aware of right now.
Probably something that you might want to talk to planning and mention that to them, but it would be something that we'd have to bring up to actually address, to tell them to do anything.
Yes, but I mean, it's just something we should have on our, because it's not a problem right now. I'm not saying that is a problem right now, but, there's a push in the state for that, to control that, and there's, our surrounding communities are all taken care of, and I think we should look into it too. And again, be proactive instead of reactive.
Would that be treated differently? Because I don't know much about rentals. Would that be treated differently than like our rental inspections that we're gonna start? Would that be part
That's
of that or no?
Part of the thing is, but most of it's a home that a person rents out for a short period of time, 1 or 2 days, or a week.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
And not
that's what
for-
you're talking, okay.
Correct, yeah,
not for-
Airbnbs and
okay,
that type of thing.
Okay.
Not
We
sure.
have no control on that.
Thought you were talking about the ones that have renters for 6 months and then they leave and it's
No,
still a
that's-
mess again and then they have.
That's something else.
Okay.
But that, I wanted to bring that up during our roundtable, and I
Maybe
forgot.
we'll have to review our current rental inspection to see if that actually covers short-term rentals. I can't remember if it's excluded.
I
I
could,
haven't
um,
read it again.
Doesn't,
I could also ask at planning commission, Parker's there too. Do you do no, you don't do planning commission, but
Roger
I can
does,
make a
think.
note and try and
Do you do planning
bring it
commission,
up.
or does
Yeah,
that?
Roger and I both are on that, so.
Check that out, if you
Well-
would, please, I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Dolores?
Nothing.
Mike? No. Dave?
On the write-up for the Trestle Trail Bridge, why did we link to the old engineering report?
Was an error, was not intentional,
Okay,
so that can be updated.
we're gonna update that then?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I just want to reiterate, I'm not seeing where the priority came in to get a design for Hubbard Street parking lot, the City Hall parking lot, and and the Mahan Park over Trestle Bridge. The number of times we talked about that, it's been closed for 2 years now. That's a safety issue, and I just don't get why that can't be a priority. And all I've heard is it's got to be the community that comes together for it, but we're not leading them at all. We're not giving them a proposal to fund for it. I don't really support the sentiment that's included in this write-up that staff is doing everything they can on it, because I don't see it. I'm not seeing anything on it in 2 years. And I don't know how to get that priority, but I was pretty frustrated watching the show at the last meeting and just seeing council get told, no Trestle Bridge, and spending $80,000 to design City Hall parking lot and Mahan Park. And I don't know, I take it pretty seriously. I do think it's a safety issue, and it's impacted my family, and it impacts other families up there. And I don't know, I just need to see something on it.
All right. So only things for me tonight is I have noticed on the live streams and say that he does a great job at the switching cameras and also putting in some of our film and our footage of our different events in between our sessions, so that it's not just a static seeing nothingness. So it does do some nice self-promotion there. So I'm very thankful that that's being done. Other than that, I don't have anything else. So it is 7:44. I'll adjourn the meeting.